Hi guys, welcome back to the second part of chapter 9, tax planning for companies. So in this video, we're going to discuss on the subtopic of interest restrictions on loan. So according to section 33 subsection 2, where a taxpayer has borrowed for the purpose of producing business income, the deductibility of the interest paid on borrowed money would be restricted based on the following formula. So, dia bagi tahu dekat kita kalau kita ada buat pinjaman, borrowing yang berkaitan dengan business income, bila kita pinjam kan, borrow, kita akan incur interest on loan. That interest paid is deductible, boleh tolak since dia berkaitan dengan business. But amount deductible tu will be restricted based on the formula yang dia bagi. So berapa yang akan interest restricted? Kita akan tengok how much is the investment cost over the borrowing, how much you pinjam, times dengan interest expenses. Okay, nilai yang you dapat selepas you masukkan figures in this formula, this is the amount of interest restricted. Okay, so kalau tengok kat bawah tu, let's say our investment cost is equal or bigger than what we borrow. Kiranya kita pinjam sikit je lah berbanding the cost of investment. So, the whole amount of interest is non-deductible. Kalau you pinjam sikit berbanding cost of your investment, semua sekali interest on loan, interest expenses tu tidak dibenarkan untuk tolak for tax purposes. On the other hand, let's say the cost of investment is less than the borrowing, meaning that you borrow more than the cost of investment. Okay, so bila kita buat pinjaman lagi banyak berbanding nilai pelaburan kita, there will be a portion of interest expenses yang akan dibenarkan untuk tolak. So, kalau kita tengok dekat sini, salah satu cara untuk company plan for tax, kalau dia ada buat borrowing, make sure your borrowing is more than or higher than your cost of investment, supaya kita akan ada some part of the interest expenses yang dibenarkan untuk tolak. Remember, kalau boleh kita nak maximize allowable expenses supaya chargeable income can be reduced. Okay, so itu salah satu cara lah macam mana company boleh buat kalau dia ada buat borrowing. Make sure borrowing is bigger than your investment. Now let's continue discussing the tax treatment for interest restricted. Kita tahu kalau ada buat borrowing yang berkaitan dengan business income, there will be some amount of interest restricted based on the formula. So, lepas dah kira tu, yang you dapat nilai interest restricted, the amount of interest restricted would be added back to arrive at business adjusted income. Okay, so tak semua interest expenses berkaitan dengan business income dibenarkan tolak. Ada some portion yang kita kena add back sebab dia dah jadi non-allowable expenses. Then, the amount of interest restricted would be allocated to individual investment source. if the restricted interest cannot be offset against the income of the related investment, excess of interest expenses cannot be carried forward and it would be a permanent loss. So here you might be confused a little bit, but later on bila kita buat illustration, hopefully you boleh nampak this concept dengan lebih clear. Okay, we have illustration 3, Bumi Minda. This company closed its account 31st December and it had obtained overdraft facility of 400,000. So overdraft facility, this is the borrowing sebanyak 400,000 for use in its business. So nak guna pinjaman tu untuk business. Bumi Minda bought 1,000 units of TNB shares and 5,000 units of telecom shares. And they also purchased terrace house and a shop house. From this information, kita tahu yang Bumi Minda ni ada buat business, so dia dapat income dalam bentuk business income. At the same time, dia juga buat investment yang dia receive income dalam bentuk dividend bila dia purchase shares, and also rental income bila dia sewakan terrace house and a shop house. Okay, dia dah bagi dekat you information yang berkaitan berapa cost of dia punya shares dan berapa cost of yang berkaitan dengan rental. Bumi Minda claim interest expenses of 40,000 in its profit and loss. So interest on loan dia claim sebanyak 40,000. As the company could not justify that the purchase of investment were not financed from the overdraft, the amount of interest expense deductible against the gross income from its business has to be restricted. So dia kata company ni tak boleh nak bagi justification yang the purchase of investment, yang dia beli saham dengan rental property tadi tu tak menggunakan overdraft facility. Okay, so dia tak boleh nak justify, therefore akan ada amount of interest expenses yang 40,000 tadi tu yang akan kena restricted menggunakan formula yang kita dah tengok dalam previous slide. So the first part of the question, you have to advise Bumi Minda on the deductibility of 40,000 interest expenses. Okay, kita akan buat pengiraan how much of interest that need to be restricted. Formula dia investment bahagi dengan borrowing. So untuk investment, kalau kita tengok investment in share, kos beli saham TNB 10,000 campur dengan saham telekom 30,000, the cost is 40,000 plus the cost for rental property, terrace house 100,000 and shop house 160,000. So add up together semua sekali cost of investment, you akan dapat sebanyak 300,000 bahagi dengan borrowing. Borrowing dia punya overdraft facility daripada Maybank sebanyak 400,000 times with the interest expenses. Interest expenses here we have 40,000. So bila dah masukkan in the formula, we got the interest restricted of 30,000. Maksudnya 40,000 tadi tu interest expenses, hanya 10,000 yang deductible. lagi 30,000 we need to add back. Okay, faham kan? This company claim yang dia punya interest expenses semua sekali 40,000. Dia nak tolak semua sebab dia kata this one adalah business expenses allowable. Tapi kita kira ikut formula, interest amount will be restricted to 30,000. 30,000 tu restricted, kena add back. Meaning that hanya 10,000 sahaja yang dibenarkan untuk tolak. Next, we move to the second part of the question. Advise the company on the tax treatment of interest expense for each investment source. Okay, so here kita punya jawapan sepatutnya the company could claim interest expenses against its investment income. Dia kena apportion lah berapa interest expenses yang belong to the dividend and the rental income. Kenapa dia boleh claim interest? Because these two investments are deemed to have been financed by the overdraft facility. Okay. So, cara pengiraan dia, kita akan pecahkan ikut sources of income. First kali kita buat untuk dividend. Gross dividend, semua sekali total dia dapat sebanyak 200,000. But kita tahu dividend in Malaysia is single tier dividend system exempted. Okay, gross dividend nil minus interest. So macam mana I nak apportionkan interest yang belong kepada dividend? Remember tadi kita kira interest restricted semua sekali ada 30,000. 30,000 tu macam mana nak divide between dividend dengan rental? I akan ambil cost of investment untuk dividend 40,000 over total cost of investment 300,000 times with 30,000. So I dapat interest expenses that belong to dividend of 4,000. Yang ni sepatutnya boleh tolak lah daripada gross dividend. However, here kita ada gross dividend of 0 exempted. So 4,000 tadi tu akan jadi nil, tak boleh tolak, and it will become a permanent loss. Tak boleh nak carry forward juga. Okay, kita move kepada rental pula. Rental income, semua sekali rental receive ada 36,000. Tolak interest, kita buat apportionment yang sama. Cost untuk rental semua sekali ada 260,000 bahagi dengan total cost of investment 300,000 darab interest restricted sebanyak 30,000. So kita ada 26,000. There is one more revenue expenses yang boleh tolak berkaitan dengan rental. Kita ada revenue expenses of 3,500. So tolak 3,500. Last kali we arrive at statutory rental income of 6,500. So ini cara macam mana nak kira amount of interest restricted dan macam mana juga cara nak apportion the restricted interest to the two different sources of income. The third subtopics for chapter 9 is about business loss. We have already discussed this masa awal-awal chapter dulu. So maybe I will go very fast for this subtopic. Current year business loss. So yang ni boleh tolak against aggregate income. If company had more than one business source, which suffers losses in the current year, aggregate of adjusted loss is deducted against aggregate income. So dia tak sama macam CA. Sorry, untuk business loss, you tak perlu tolak against the same sources. Sebabnya kita akan tolak daripada aggregate. Tambah semua income, tak kisahlah business, investment, apa-apa sahaja. After that, baru tolak dengan current year business loss. What about unabsorbed business loss? Loss tahun ni tapi belum habis guna. Kita boleh carry forward to subsequent years. Such unabsorbed business loss is accumulated as one balance. Maksudnya kalau you ada unabsorbed loss daripada business 1, you akan campur dengan unabsorbed loss from business 2, so from different sources, and it only allowed to be deducted from aggregate statutory business income. Unabsorbed business loss dibenarkan tolak, tapi tolak daripada mana? Tolak daripada aggregate statutory business income. Tolak dekat section 4A sahaja. The next subtopics is regarding the cessation of business. Apa akan berlaku kalau business tu stops the operation? So, when the operator or the business disposes plant and machinery, factory, office equipment, dia jual semua dia punya aset, the business is said to have ceased. So, logik lah kan, aset semua dah jual, maksudnya dia nak stop dia punya operation. The tax implications are revenue expenses incurred in the process of cessation are not deductible. Revenue expenses walaupun berkaitan dengan bisnes, tapi sebab dalam proses nak tutup, tidak dibenarkan tolak. Sebab dia tak helps ataupun tak contributes in producing business income. Once the cessation date is established, any expense incurred after this date is also not deductible. So, selepas the date of cessation, revenue expenses incurred after that tak boleh tolak. Any unabsorbed CA available at the time of cessation will be a permanent loss. Kalau at the time you stop you punya business, masih ada lagi CA yang belum utilize, that CA akan jadi permanent loss, tak boleh dah carry forward ke tahun depan since the business is considered ceased permanently. Okey, kita ada illustration 4 yang berkaitan dengan cessation of the business. Agus ni dia jual special durian cookies and dia plan to discontinue one of the company's business operation in Semarak. Some employees will be given compensation before the closure, while compensation to other employees will only be paid after the closure. So, dia nak tutup satu daripada dia punya business operation sebab asyik rugi. Dan dia akan bayar ganti rugi kepada pekerja. Some of them dibayar sebelum dan some of them dibayar selepas dah close the operation. So, dia tanya tax implication on current year adjusted loss, unabsorbed business loss, and capital allowance of the discontinued operation, and you also have to explain the treatment for compensation paid to employees. So here I have provided the suggested solution. Please go through, dan rasanya untuk this subtopic dia memang very straightforward, senang je untuk you faham. Okay, so that's all untuk this part. See you again later. in next part of the video. Thank you.